Anyone can be emotionally intelligent on a sunny day. But what happens when your world is falling apart? If you took part one of this emotional intelligence test, you know your score on the first five. But these final five are the rare ones that only appear in a crisis. And that's where most people fall short. But here's the important part. Whether you have these signs yet or not, today I'm going to show you exactly how to build them. By the end of this video, you'll have the specific skills to handle the next crisis with mastery. Let's dive into number 6. Sign number 6, they can handle uncomfortable conversations. They don't avoid hard things, and they don't detonate them either. They can set a boundary without making it a verdict. They can say, that didn't work for me, without delivering a prosecution. They can address conflict directly without needing the other person to bleed first. That's a skill, a rare, learnable, deeply consequential skill. Most people live in one of two failure modes: the exploder or the avoider. The exploder waits until they can't anymore, until it goes too far. The avoider never addresses it and pays the price in resentment and distance and slow erosion of the relationship. People with high emotional intelligence have found the third way. They say the true thing clearly at the right time without burning the relationship down to say it. What makes this possible is emotional courage, the willingness to feel the discomfort of the conversation instead of passing that discomfort forward in time, where it always gets more expensive. Avoidance is not free either. Every hard thing you don't say accrues interest over time. So here's the practice. Identify one conversation you've been avoiding. Write out what you want to say. Then edit it down to what's actually true, what's fair, what's necessary. That's what you say, not all of what you feel, what's actually true and fair and necessary. Sign number 7, they know that feelings aren't facts. They take emotions seriously, they just don't take them literally. I feel like I'm failing doesn't mean that they actually are failing. I feel like no one cares doesn't mean no one cares. I feel like this will never get better doesn't mean that it won't actually get better. People with high emotional intelligence have learned to hold their emotional experience with what I'd call respectful skepticism. The emotion is real, the interpretation is not always real. I think about a client, I'll call him Jordan, who would get a single critical comment from his manager and spent 3 days convinced he was about to be fired. The feeling was vivid and urgent and felt completely true, but the feeling wasn't evidence. The work for Jordan was learning to ask, what is actually true here? Not just what does it feel like? This distinction of feeling versus facts is one of the most anxiety reducing skills a person can develop, because anxiety runs almost entirely on emotional logic. It feels true, so it must be true. High emotional intelligence people have learned to slow that process down and ask for evidence. The practice, if you need some growth here, is when a strong emotion is telling you something about reality, stop and ask, is this a feeling or a fact? What is the actual evidence? You don't have to dismiss the feeling. Just don't let it write the story unedited. Sign number 8, so they regulate their body, not just their thoughts. This one surprises a lot of people and they underestimate it. Most people think emotional intelligence lives in their mind, better thinking, better perspective, better self-talk. And those things matter, but people with high emotional intelligence understand something that changes everything. When your body is flooded, your thinking will be garbage. When you're emotionally flooded, when your heart rate is elevated, your breathing is shallow, your chest is tight, the part of your brain responsible for complex reasoning is significantly less available to you. You're running on a different operating system. High EQ people understand this and they work with it. They take a walk before responding. They slow their breathing significantly, specifically their exhale. They step away, not because they're avoiding the issue, but because they know they need their whole brain online before they engage. If you're trying to manage a hard emotion purely through willpower and cognitive reframing while your nervous system is still activated, you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back. The practice here, if you need some growth, is the next time you're flooded, your heart rate is up, your breathing is tight, do one body based intervention before you try to think your way through it. Slow your exhale to 6 counts. Walk for 10 minutes. Splash cold water on your face. Your thinking will be completely different on the other side of that. Sign number 9 is they repair quickly after mistakes. They still mess up. They say things they shouldn't say. They react when they meant to respond. They go too cold or too hot. Everybody does. But here's what's different. They don't let the mistake calcify. Instead of avoiding it or endlessly justifying it, they come back. That came out wrong. I shouldn't have said that. I was reactive and I'm sorry. That's not how I want to show up with you. No ego, just repair. Now, I want to acknowledge something here because I see this pattern constantly in my work. Most people don't avoid repair because they don't care. They avoid it because repair requires them to face what they did without flinching. And that feels like too much sometimes. So instead, they compensate. They're extra nice afterward. They cook a meal. They make a gesture, but they never say the thing that actually heals it. And the other person who has been waiting for the thing slowly concludes that it's not coming, and the distance grows. High emotional intelligence people have learned that clean repair is one of the most loving things you can offer to another person. Not a perfect relationship, but a repairable one. If you need some growth here, here's the practice. If there's a repair you've been delaying, go back. Be specific, non defensive, put no buts. Name what you did, name the impact, name what you're going to do differently, and then let the apology be the whole thing. And finally, sign number 10 is they want to understand, not to win. In conflict, their goal is not to prove they're right. It's not to dominate the conversation. It's not to make the other person feel small so that they can feel big. Their goal is, can we actually understand each other? And here's the irony of this. That mindset leads to better outcomes anyway. People who enter conflict trying to win often win the argument and lose the relationship. Or they win the argument and the other person just stops arguing, which is not the same as agreement. It's just surrender, which breeds resentment. People who enter conflict trying to understand usually walk out of the conversation with something genuinely useful. New information about the other person, new information about themselves, and a relationship that's stronger for having been tested. The shift sounds like this. Instead of building your case while they talk, you're actually listening to discover something. Instead of waiting for them to finish so that you can prove your point, you're asking, what's underneath what they're saying? What's the unmet need here? Those questions change everything because most arguments aren't actually about the thing they're about. They're about feeling unseen or unheard or unimportant. The person who can hear that underneath the argument is the one who can actually resolve it. So there they are, the 10 signs. Whether you saw yourself in the strengths aspects or the growth aspects, remember this is a practice, not a birthright. If you missed the first 5 signs, you can watch that video right here below. Also, don't forget to download the full 10 sign printable guide I've linked in the description. It's designed to help you take these concepts off the screen and into your real life. I'll see you in the next one.